Am I the a-hole for stepping down as a bridesmaid just one day before the wedding? So last weekend, it was my sister-in-law's wedding. My sister-in-law is my fiancé's sister, to clarify. I've been with my fiancé for 5 years, and we've been engaged for 2. Before I got with my fiancé, his family was trying to get him to date another female friend of his, who he no longer talks to because she said some pretty horrible things about him and some of his friends. Plus, she was always trying to put me in my place since I started dating my fiancé, claiming she'll always come first in his life. Long story short, stuff happened and they no longer talk. We have a pretty close relationship with his family, especially his 2 siblings, his sister, the bride, and his brother. One day before the wedding, we were having a family lunch with the bride's family, and during lunch she started mentioning that female ex-friend of my fiancé. She started saying what a gorgeous girl she is and how pretty she is. My fiancé and I felt uncomfortable, and my fiancé was pretty pissed because that ex-friend has caused a lot of damage in my fiancé's life in the past, so it was hurtful for him to hear his sister praising her like that. But he stayed silent since he didn't want to cause drama during the wedding period. The nail in the coffin was when my sister-in-law said that it's a shame my fiancé never got to date female ex-friend, since I came along and took her place, because she'd love to have her as a bridesmaid, but because of me she can't, and she can't even call her a sister because of me. My mother-in-law told her to apologize and tried to do damage control, claiming my sister-in-law was joking. But sister-in-law said she's not joking. She really feels that way. Then proceeded to say she loves me as her new sister-in-law, but she'd just prefer female ex-friend. I kindly got up and excused myself, saying I'll head home. While I was gathering my stuff to leave, I also said I'd withdraw as a bridesmaid since I'm not really the one she wanted there, and that she should contact ex-friend while she still has time, and I'll give her my dress since we are the same size. Fiancé left with me, and while leaving, he said something along the lines of, "You never know when to shut your mouth," to his sister. Mother-in-law justified me walking out. So did my brother-in-law and father-in-law. They say bride's words were ridiculous. They tried to convince me to stay as a bridesmaid but respected my wish to walk out. My family, on the other hand, said I'm the a-hole for not sucking it up for one more day and walking away from the role while making the bride stressed. So, am I the a-hole? P.S. I still attended the wedding as a guest. Bride did not talk to me at all, but the groom did, and he said I'm right to be upset, but he thinks I shouldn't step down last minute over a joke. Now for the top comments. Not stay home. I'm so glad your in-law stood up for you and supported your decision. However, for the groom to call her comments a joke is very wrong. Was he there when she initially said them? I hope you're doing okay, but you don't need her in your life. He wasn't there. It was the day before the wedding, and bride and groom just spent other days with their own families. He was with his family. Too bad Mr. Wiener mean girl making an appearance. If he hadn't, there may not have been a wedding. Not stay home. What a horrible thing to say. She clarified it wasn't a joke, so why does her husband still think it is? Yes, agreed. And the groom contradicts himself by saying Opie is right to be upset, but then in the next breath it's a joke? Not stay home. Your sister-in-law pissed around and found out. Also, it wasn't a joke. It was a calculated dig. It left you with no option but to step down. She didn't think I'd react, let alone step down. She thought I'd stay silent through it all. Mother-in-law told me afterwards. I can't believe you still attended the wedding. I would have left and Venmo'd her for the amount of the dress and the gift you bought. The dress wasn't expensive, thankfully, so I don't mind. Since nobody else used it, I'll keep it and have it tailored into a shorter party dress. As for the gift, it was a mutual gift from me and my fiancé, so I wouldn't want to cause more drama by asking for the money back, you know. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my cousin that my best friend slept with her fiancé while we were on vacation? For context, I have known my best friend for about 10 years. We, both 23, met in middle school. My cousin, 25 female, and her fiancé, 28 male, have been dating for about 8 years and engaged since March 2020. The wedding is in December, and because of COVID, we hadn't been able to celebrate the engagement until recently. So my cousin and my uncle rented a house in Italy for a week. It was going to be the cousins, the ones over 18, my cousin's friends, her fiancé, and some of his friends. All we had to do was cover plane ticket expenses. My cousin asked if I was planning on inviting my best friend as well, and that she was welcome to come if I wanted. Of course I said yes. Fast forward to the trip, everything goes fine. We all have a great time. I noticed that my best friend and fiancé are getting along pretty well, but nothing alarming. They had met multiple times prior at different events. I mean, everyone was getting along, so nobody thought anything of it. One of the last nights, we decided to go out. We are having a great time dancing, drinking, and suddenly my best friend tells me and my cousin she's super tired and is going to take a taxi home. Fiancé hears this and tells us he's going to head home and call it a night as well. They order a taxi and another friend of Fiancé's joins them. We end up going home early that morning after watching the sunrise, then head to bed. Everything is fine. We go back home a few days later. About a month passes and life has gone back to normal. Except my best friend is being a bit weird. I share an apartment with her, by the way. Until one night we are sitting down on the couch and she just breaks down and tells me she has something to tell me. And that she feels awful about it, but I have to promise not to tell anyone. I say of course, because, well, this is my best friend. She proceeds to tell me that on the night they left the bar early, they ended up sleeping together. That they were smoking outside and started talking and ended up having some more wine, and that it just happened. I was stunned. I didn't know what to say. I told her, I can't believe you've done this. You've ruined my cousin's life. She tells me that if I don't tell her, she will never know, and we get into a huge fight. A few days later, I decided to go to my cousin's house and tell her, not because I want to hurt anyone, but because she needs to know who she is marrying. She's pissed, calls her fiancé, and everything goes downhill from there. Now my whole family's so angry at my best friend and at me for bringing her. They're currently not speaking to me, saying I should have picked my friends better, that I've played a part in ruining her life. My best friend is also pissed, I told her, saying she feels betrayed and like she can't trust me anymore. My cousin is the only one who's on my side, but she's a bit busy trying to figure everything out. Am I the a-hole for telling her? Not the a-hole. Let me see if I can get this straight. Your best friend slept with a man who was in a committed relationship with your cousin. The best friend has the nerve to be angry at you for telling the woman whose life she messed up, who was your cousin, despite the fact that she slept with him. It was totally in the wrong. Your family except the cousin is all angry at you like this is your fault that the fiancé cheated? All you did was spare your cousin heartache before she married the man. The family should be thanking you for that, and be angry only at the friend and the man. The friend should be angry at her own actions and at the fiancé for putting her in this situation. Also, if the friend didn't want this getting back to the cousin, maybe she shouldn't have told Opie. I about lost my crap. The best friend is the one who feels betrayed. Lol, OMG. The entitlement in that one is legendary. Not stay home. As someone who's been cheated on and having so-called friends hide it from me, I'd have been more forgiving if I was told before. Your so-called best friend messed up. Your cousin's fiancé messed up. You did the right thing in telling your cousin. And everyone here needs to be pissed at the fiancé, who barely gets a mention. He is definitely the most at fault here, having cheated while in a committed relationship and told no one. Not day home. Not day home. There was no way you could have known your best friend and cousin's fiancé would sleep together. I don't understand how your family can say you chose your best friend over your cousin, when you actually told your cousin even though your best friend asked you not to. The only a-holes here is your cousin's fiancé and your best friend. Next story. Am I the a-hole for walking out in the middle of my boyfriend's birthday party? I, female 25, have been with my boyfriend, male 28, for 3 years. Our relationship is great, and we rarely fight. His birthday was days ago. I wanted to do something together, but his parents already decided to host the party at their house. My boyfriend got there first. I showed up after I got off work, and he was there with the guests, busy talking and greeting in the backyard. I took a seat in the back and the sister showed up with her husband and son Jake. We're not on good terms, by the way. He said hi, then asked if I could watch her son Jake. I was like, but she disappeared and left her kid with me before I could even answer. So I decided to just keep an eye on him till she gets back since he was sitting across from me. I spilled my drink on my top, which was messy. I gave Jake my phone to play on it and asked him to sit still till I get back. Then I went to use the bathroom to clean up the stain. Clearly Jake walked towards the pool, and the floor was slippery, so he slipped and fell and injured his knee. That's when I heard loud noise coming from outside like people panicking. I went to see what's going on and saw my boyfriend and his family with Jake. I heard my boyfriend's dad ask who was supposed to watch Jake, and his sister said my name. My boyfriend saw me and shouted, "Opie, where the hell have you been? How could you let this happen?" I was taken aback and said I was in the bathroom cleaning up the stain. He asked, "Is the stain more important than my nephew?" I explained that his family or his mother should have kept an eye on him. He said there are many guests, so they probably didn't notice, and said I should stop turning this around on his family since I agreed to watch Jake. I said no, I did not initially agree to watch Jake, and came to the party as a guest, not as a babysitter, and that his sister just dumped him on me and disappeared without even waiting to hear if I was going to say no. We had an argument, and I got fed up being presented with a hypothetical scenario after a hypothetical scenario of what could have happened if Jake fell inside a pool and was blamed to no end. So I grabbed my stuff and walked out. My boyfriend's parents saw me leave, and he followed me asking me to wait and return, but I refused. He said I have no reason to be upset, but more reason to be worried just like they all were, and insisted I go back inside, but I got in my car and left. He came back later looking pissed. He said that yes, while it might be his sister's fault for still bringing her son after he stated he didn't want kids there because of the pool, but said I ruined the party by walking out and refusing to take responsibility, and admit I should have made sure Jake was safe before leaving him out of my sight whether I agreed to watch him or not. He said his parents are rightfully upset and didn't appreciate my behavior earlier on, then walking out which hurt him on a personal level since his birthday should mean something to me. I felt like he might be right and mishandled this entire situation. Am I the a-hole? Jake is 4 years old. Everyone sucks here. She shouldn't have ditched her kid with you, but it's not shocking to understand why you shouldn't leave a toddler alone, especially by a pool. Did you really think telling him to sit still was going to work? There's immaturity in both ends in this post. This. She should have found sister and said, I won't watch your kid. If you know you're the only adult watching a toddler and you leave the room without telling another adult, not okay. Regardless of how the situation came to be. Obviously, everyone else in this story sucks for obvious reasons. Yeah, I was very much no peace side at first because it's never okay to dump your kid on someone who doesn't agree to look after them. But she lost me very fast at the moment of walking away. Clearly, asking anyone else was not that hard. You could have even taken the kid with you if you couldn't find anyone to watch him. Child without supervision plus pool sounds like parents' worst nightmare. Everyone sucks here. I can totally see where you're coming from that you didn't agree to look after the nephew. However, you should have had someone else watch the child rather than leave them unattended. Whether that be the child's parents or grandparents or even your partner. Your partner was rightfully concerned. The child could have been hurt, and it would have been your responsibility because you were, in fact, watching the kid. But he shouldn't have had this conversation in front of everyone. You shouldn't have left the party either. Instead of doing this, you could have had a conversation with your partner afterwards, where you could have explained your frustrations at having the nephew left in your care when you didn't agree to it. I think all parties involved could have handled the situation better, including your partner's sister. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to talk to my son and husband until they apologized to my mother-in-law? My mother-in-law, Sandra, 69 female, is a weird woman. She refers to herself as that. She has random outbursts, hyperfixations, tics, and struggles immensely with social cues. She hasn't been diagnosed with anything, so I won't speculate. When I first met my husband's family, I noticed that all of them, except my husband, made fun of Sandra and her quirks. For example, we were having dinner one night, and my mother-in-law couldn't stop talking about flowers. She loves plants and nature and is super knowledgeable about it. My sister-in-law made a comment making fun of her, and everybody at the table laughed about it. Sandra got extremely embarrassed and did not talk for the rest of the night. This kind of behavior is normal in the family, and I despise it. I get so angry whenever someone makes fun of Sandra, because she is just such a kind, lovely woman that I just can't fathom why they do that. I've had a lot of conversations about this with my husband, and even fights when he laughs about the jokes. We have a son, 15 male, named Alex, and my biggest fear is becoming true. Alex has started to pick up the behavior around him, and has been laughing at Sandra. I've talked to him about why laughing at her is bullying, how that behavior is inappropriate, etc. But Alex doesn't seem to care. 2 weeks ago, we went to see Sandra. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law were there along their families. Sandra looked very happy. While catching up, she randomly started clapping, one of the tics that appear when she is excited. My brother-in-law made a comment poking fun of her, and the whole family laughed, including my husband and Alex. Sandra got teary-eyed and had to excuse herself to the bathroom. I've never been more furious, and while on our way home, I chewed my husband and son out, and told them to not speak to me until they apologized to Sandra. I told them that I don't want to hear a single word directed to me until they reflect on how their actions are hurtful and disgusting. 2 weeks have passed and I haven't spoken to them. Not a single word. Because they have made 0 attempts on apologizing to Sandra. My husband is telling me that I am being petty and hurting Alex. He is also mad at me for valuing my relation with Sandra more than my relation with them. In my mind, I am not doing that. But husband says that I am being an a-hole. Not an a-hole at all. So if I have the dynamics correct, your husband bullies his mother, your son now is bullying his grandma, and basically everyone else in the family does it to her just because she gets happy over things and expresses it differently and likes to talk about things that make her happy. They are mean to her to the point she cries and they all think this is okay. Your husband has trained your son to be a bully and that laughing and watching other people hurt is funny. This was painful to read. I can't imagine how many years poor Sandra has had to live with being treated this way. I hope she knows that you love and accept her just the way she is. I vote OPCs if mother-in-law wishes to get an apartment together. She sounds like a better roommate than husband or son. That's a great idea. Lol. Sandra owns the house my brother-in-law lives in, so maybe I'll convince her to kick him out so we can both move there. For real. Reading the comments, I see that my marriage is doomed if I don't correct this behavior. Edit. It's a joke. I won't abandon my child or anything similar. Please don't tell me I am an awful mom. They're tormenting a woman who clearly is neurodivergent. It's disgusting. I am with you. Both need to learn not to pick on disabled people. I would also be guessing my marriage too if I were you.